after looking into Timberfill and realizing that it was not that much more expensive than cellulose, it offered a cleaner product. It's, for us, locally made.
Yeah.
Here in New England.
Right, in Maine, actually.
In Maine, yeah. Yep. And it was, we were attracted to those things, and we decided to go for it. So what we found is that it performs very well. You know, the R value that's advertised, it certainly seems to hold up to that. We're heating a 3-bay garage with a wood stove.
Probably a wood stove that's maybe a little undersized for it, actually.
It's slightly undersized for this space.
Yeah, because this, what is this, like 1,300 square feet?
I'd have to do
Something
the math.
like that.
Something
It's
like
like 40 by 33, plus it's actually 3 feet longer over there. So 43 by 33 feet, whatever that is.
Yep. It's done it. We've had some pretty cold nights this winter.
Really cold.
We've had 2 or 3 nights where it's been 10 below zero, and a bunch of nights at 0 degrees.
Yeah.
And we've been comfortable in the house.
Yeah.
Or garage, I should say.
Right. Unfinished garage. It's insulated, but as you can see, we don't have any drywall or anything. There's the walls in the kitchen have plywood, and the walls around the doors have plywood on them, but the rest of the walls just have the fabric, the lip-stitched fabric that's filled with the Timberfill for the moment. So
I've been pretty happy with the performance.
Yeah.
It seems to be on par with cellulose in that regard. For installation, I found it was just as messy as blowing in cellulose. It goes everywhere.
It was everywhere. It is everywhere.
But that's fine. That was to be expected.
Yeah.
I had no issue with that. I did find it packed into the cavities. It was a little more difficult to get a good, consistent density in the wall cavities as compared to cellulose. So what you're supposed to do when you're trying to accomplish, you're trying to achieve a density of, I believe it's 3 pounds per square inch, foot. I can't remember. One of the two.
I'll have to look that up.
And so you're not just loosely blowing it into the walls. You're doing what's in the industry is known as dense pack. So you're pressurizing the product into the wall cavity, and it becomes dense enough that it does not settle. If you just loosely fill it, then what ends up happening is it settles, and at the top of the wall cavity, you'll end up with a void where there's no insulation. But if you look around here, you'll see no voids at the top, because that's what we dense packed into the walls. But I found, I think that with cellulose, you're able to get a more consistent density. I feel like with this product, I struggled a little bit. It would become dense right around the nozzle that was injecting the product into the walls. What I found was I'd have to move the nozzle this way and then that way and this way and that way. Significantly more than with cellulose. It's almost like cellulose flows better into the wall cavity. And maybe I'll get the hang of it. This is the first time using this product. We still need to insulate upstairs. And honestly, upstairs, I would rather use bats of the wood fiber insulation in the wall cavities, to save on all that labor. Good grief.
If we'd used bats, we would have been done very quickly. We had filled like this wall over here around the garage doors was filled with Roxol bats because we needed to get it done quickly, and it was before we had bought the Timberfill, and we couldn't put the garage doors up until we put up the plywood, so we needed to just like get it done, and so we ended up just using Roxol, and that went in very quickly. I did it myself in basically like, I don't know, 4 hours, 5 hours. It was pretty fast. You weren't even home, so
Right.
yeah, it was. I just did it by myself, and it was easy. So, and that being said, I'm sure with the Timberfill, I could have done the whole thing by myself too if it was in bats.
Yeah.
But
We just didn't want to pay the.
Yeah.
We didn't have the money to pay the the premium for bats, because
yeah,
the loose fill is a lot cheaper. That's what it comes down to.
Considerably cheaper. Yeah.
So that's what I like to do upstairs.
Yeah.
Is use bats on the walls and then blow the loose fill up into the attic space.
Yeah.
I think that would be really well. It would work well.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that's important for you to know about this product is you can't use a regular cellulose blower or I guess they're called blowers. When you buy a bunch of cellulose insulation at a big box store, you can often one of their blower machines will come with all the cellulose that you buy. Well, those types of blowers don't have enough strength and force to blow this product into the building. So the manufacturer on their website, they have documentation as to blowers that they have found that work well with this product. So we found a local installation company that we've actually had dealings with before, and we rented their machine from them and used it to blow the insulation into the walls and ceiling. If you'd like to use this product, you just have to make sure that you are able to get one of the machines that will handle it.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up in a situation where you have all the material and then the project comes to a standstill because your machine's not capable.
Right, guys, this is the machine we're using to send the chopped up wood bales into the house and for the insulation. And we tried putting whole bales in, but that didn't work, so we have to chop them up. So what we do is take a hammer, pull on it, and separate it.
We ordered it through a local lumberyard, and we had to order 5 pallets. And as you can see, right over here, and right next to us, and what you're seeing is actually, behind us. Sorry, your nose. We have extra. We had like a pallet and a quarter extra, or pallet and a half.
Well, I knew we were going to need
For
more
upstairs,
for upstairs.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to fall short, so I ordered a little bit extra.
right. So you did have to order by the pallet. I thought was like
So
yeah. So yep.
at least with the distributor that we used, that's how they sold it. Now, who knows whether that will change over time. If the product is stocked, in stores, then it might be a different scenario.
Yep.
But at least right now, let's buy the pallet. I think overall, I'm happy with the performance. I'm happy with the idea that it's clean. It's not contaminated with unknown chemicals.
Yeah.
We plan to use it for, when we finish the apartment upstairs.
Yeah.
We'll definitely use this product.
Yeah. And I'm in like a clean building group on Facebook, and this product, after we used it, actually, I somebody else had been talking about insulation, and this was mentioned by somebody else saying they'd done a lot of research on it, and it's supposed to be like a product that is like mold resistant, which is good because that for us is also important. So
Yep.
we knew it had like the borax property, but we, didn't really know how well that stood up, but it was good to read about that somewhere else. So
I also like mineral wool. I think it's a really good product in that it's fireproof. It's fairly tight. It does a good job at keeping air from moving in the wall cavities. The primary downfall, I guess there's two in my opinion. One is that it takes a lot of energy to fabricate the insulation, because you're basically heating minerals,
right.
rock, I guess. I'm not really exactly sure of the process, but they use high heat to heat it up until it's molten, I believe, and then they spin it into fibers. So it has high embodied energy. So that's one thing that, looking at it from a sustainability perspective, concerns me. And the other is the cost. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah.
It's just,
You got like 6 pieces of, is it like 15-inch wide by, are they 3 feet or 4 feet?
yeah.
I think they're
4 feet.
4 feet. So 6 pieces of like 4 foot by 15-inch bats at like Lowe's or Home Depot, and I think it was like $70.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it's expensive. And when you figure like we have 10-foot ceilings in here, so that's 2.5 pieces per stud bay. What do you call it?
Mhm.
Yeah, the bays between the studs. So that doesn't fill up a lot of space. Now, I don't know if you could get it cheaper if you ordered it in bulk. I'm not sure.
Not much cheaper, I don't think.
But yeah, it was too expensive for us to do the entire garage that way, because in the ceilings here we did basically 12 inches thick, 12 inches thick of dense pack, and the walls were all 6-inch thick dense pack. So we would have had to do, each of these bays with double the amount of Roxol. It just wasn't feasible for us. Yeah, so this worked out well. The other thing I like about it is it's not itchy. If you work with Roxol, it's a little itchy. And this, like, after we were done with it, we were dusty, but you weren't itchy. You didn't want to like scratch all your, skin off or anything. So that was really nice, because definitely when I work with Roxol, I get itchy. And I really liked not being itchy afterwards. So that was a bonus for me. Yeah.
If anyone's never blown in insulation before, but the basic way it works is you have the machine, the blower outside. You have one person tending to that.
Yeah.
They fill up the hopper, keep cutting bags open, dumping it in, breaking them up, and then there's an auger that spins around and with paddles that make up the insulation even more. At the bottom of that machine, there's an outlet, and it forces there's a blower, and that blower forces the insulation through a 4-inch tube into the house, and then it's next down to a 3-inch tube, and then at the end there's a whip that's anywhere from, it depends, 2.5-inch whip or nozzle that's used to inject it into the wall. And so there's typically one person inside and one person outside. The person inside has the controller. They tell the machine to turn on or off, and what that person will do is cut a little slit into the netting and then inject the nozzle in. I usually like to go up first, and then what happens is the stud bay will fill up. The product will be blowing up, but it'll fall down. Once it fills up loosely, then it'll start pressurizing it from the top down. And then I get to the midpoint. I flip over the nozzle, shove it all the way to the bottom, and then start pressurizing it from the bottom up. So that's the mechanics of it, for anybody who hasn't done it before. Dust masks are a must.
Oh yeah.
And
even filling the auger, I wear a dust mask.
yeah.
It's dusty out there. And the last night we were doing it, the wind was blowing. Oh my gosh. So each of these bales comes wrapped in a plastic that, you cut open with an X-Acto knife or whatever. And I had a garbage can there to put them in, and as much as I would get them in the garbage can, the wind would take them and blow them all over the yard. The boys were picking them up for a couple days afterwards because we found them everywhere. That was tricky. Better to do it when it's not so windy. It also made it much more dusty.
So you have to do this when it's dry.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't do it when it's raining because the person outside with insulation would get wet.
So overall, we really liked working with the Timberfill and found that it's something that we're gonna use again when we're putting insulation upstairs. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to answer them as best we can.
Anyway, I think that's all I got.
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Have a good one.